from the Foreword Zen Creative Management by Albert Lowe. I look at Zen not as a religion, but as a way of thinking, and its scientific breakthrough, the joy of creating something, as a form of enlightenment. Conflict is the very source of creation. Thus, what is most to be feared by the company that wants its management to remain creative is loss of a sense of conflict through the resolution of conflict by an old man's methods. Management calls for creativity and reasoning, intuition no less than analysis. The manager does not simply struggle with problems, but has to wrestle with dilemmas as well. Dilemmas arise out of the whole. Problems come with the luxury of being able to reduce the whole to component parts. With dilemmas, unlike problems, there are no right solutions. One can only choose the most suitable decision. This has always been the case, but nowadays, managers do not simply have to wrestle with dilemmas that arise within their own companies, but also with those that arise from the interactions of their companies with society as a whole. Karl Marx said that every system carries with it the seeds of its own destruction. Another way of putting this is to say that when a system comes to maturity, dilemmas arise to the surface. Pollution is fast becoming the number one threat to the future, outpacing other threats such as overpopulation, depleted resources, and nuclear disasters. Pollution, however, is but one horn of the societal dilemma. The need for full employment is another. The present specters of depression, unemployment, poverty, and disillusionment are the other side of this story. The pendulum will swing again, jobs will once more become plentiful, but how much more litter, discarded chemicals, waste material, and waste gases can our planet survive? A full dilemma, moreover, as this book will show, has 4 horns, not just 2. The societal dilemma also includes the need to control inflation, which still threatens the financial structure, and also free access to credit, which has become a principal feature of that structure. Each of these 4 is dependent on the others, and none can be resolved in isolation. Each is a dimension of the whole. Traditional scientific thought has brought us the marvels of the computer, TV, car, airplane, high-rise buildings, air conditioning, labor-saving devices, miracles in medicine, and space exploration. But it is bringing disaster along with it. The very success of scientific medicine has already caused overpopulation. Cities are crowded, and we are beginning to fight over scarce resources, such as fish, fresh water, and oil. Technology applied to agriculture through fertilizers and the chemical controls of pests promise to feed the starving millions, but at the cost of soil erosion, air and water pollution. New construction technology has enabled us to produce high-rise buildings, roads, bridges, and airfields. It has also given us urban blight and decay, turned rich land into concrete deserts, and made peace and quiet scarce resources. And this is without an industry developed third world. This is not news. It is something we've worried about and would now prefer to forget. The optimists still look to technology to dig out of the hole into which we are sliding, a hole which technological thinking dug in the first place. The pessimists are burrowing into computer games, TV sitcoms, and state lotteries, hoping some windfall will save them and their families. Both optimism and pessimism, however, are inappropriate since both rely upon one-sided views of the situation. Even so, both are right. The optimist is right because life will always find a way. The pessimist is right because technology cannot be that way. Technology is the result of abstraction. Science alters the world in order to be able to cope with it. What can be measured or weighted is accepted, and what cannot is ignored or denied. Technology would fit nature, including the human being, to the Procrustean bed of logic and so destroy the organic wholeness that gives life meaning. When this organic wholeness is destroyed, there are parts which no longer fit or fit badly. For example, instead of waste being this very basis for new life and growth, they lie on one side, unusable, polluting. When people no longer fit the system, they are unpleasant, unemployed, poor, discarded. In nature, there is interpenetration. Each is a whole, supporting and sustaining the whole. In technology, there are only parts. Everything is a part of something, and everything is ultimately replaceable and ultimately meaningless. It is not that technology is bad. It simply lacks any self-regulating mechanism. Technological thinking is a marvelous creation, but as Martin Heidegger has pointed out, it is its very source, success, that must be feared because it so captivates, bewitches, dazzles, and beguiles us that it threatens to become someday accepted and practiced as the only way of thinking. Quote, then man would have denied and thrown away his special nature, that he is a meditative being. The issue is keeping meditative thinking alive, unquote. This meditative, intuitive thinking assumes wholes are intrinsic, that they are relative, and that we cannot reduce the complexity of a whole without changing its nature. This calls for an awareness of the organic integrity of a concrete situation, an openness to all its aspects. In Zen Buddhism, such an openness and awareness is called Zazen. Within the practice of Zen lies an alternative way, one of the very few remaining ways of facing our predicament. Zen is the outcome of the profound need each of us has for meaning, which can only truly be found when we have understood clearly who and what we are. Zen is not exotic or otherworldly. It concerns practice more than theory. In the practice of Zen, a person comes to terms with life in a meaningful way. Many would say that if only they could become better managers, their lives would be more meaningful. It would be truer to say that if we could find our true meaning, we would stand a chance of becoming better managers. Becoming a better manager would be a byproduct of a practice aimed at reaching the source of our most pressing need, the need to be whole and significant. The solution to our managerial problems are inextricably connected to the solutions to our personal problems. This book has taken shape over several years and is offered with several aims in mind. First, it is hoped that some of what is suggested will strike a resonant chord in the minds of readers and give them direction for their own consideration of organizational issues. The book also attempts to show the value of applying another way of thinking to life situations, a value that far exceeds what can be derived from simply solving organizational problems. Lastly, it is hoped that the ideas developed here will illustrate the compatibility of organizations and this way of thinking. The life force that organizes species, organs, and organisms also molds organizations. Human beings cannot conquer nature. They are nature in action. The creative leaps made by man and the creative leaps made by nature are of the same kind. Nature makes use of what may be called un reculer pour mieux sauter, a recoiling in order to leap that much better. A recoiling in order to leap that much better. When nature's evolutionary drive has reached a cul-de-sac, it withdraws and breaks out from a new point in a new direction. I am suggesting that Zazen is a discipline that uses un reculer pour mieux sauter. This approach provides greater facility in dealing with those organizational cul-de-sacs that are both frustrations and opportunities. Zazen seems to be as old as mankind. What is new today is its availability to the West, and specifically its availability for dealing with the complex, multifaceted problems encountered in organizations.